Well, welcome to another, shall I say, episode of Caring for Caregivers series. And so, for those of you who have been following for the past several days, I've been sharing some gems of how you can take care of yourself as a caregiver. And I know for some of you, when you hear like caring for caregivers or caregivers care or support for caregivers, you pretty much probably was expecting of how others can help caregivers, even though that is part of it. But a lot of it is about you taking care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can have all the resources in the world, you can have all the support in the world, but if you are not able to do the things so that you can continue to care for your loved ones, then your health will suffer. So, what I want to talk about today is I want to highlight at least one thing, and that is, in navigating the emotional roller coaster of taking care of someone. Again, it all depends. It depends on, what their needs are. It depends on what's going on. It just really depends. I know that, again, when it comes to my parents, they're medical challenges, medical mayhems, medical mishaps, medical everything that goes. It was for an extended period of time, and there were times in which they were doing well and they were doing okay, and despite all of that, but in the heat of the moment when it came to certain things, emotionally, it was really hard. And so, in saying that, what are the things that you can do for yourself? And in the midst of it is hard. So, for those individuals who are listening, for entrepreneurs and executives and individuals who are overemployed, wellness, when it comes to the emotional roller coaster, the emotional overload, when it comes to that, you may say, hey, when it comes to executives and employee well-being, you may say, hey, let's refer them to EAP. Let me make sure they get the support. That is all true too. That can be beneficial for some, but then sometimes for some individuals, to be honest, it can be too much because they have a lot on, depends on what's going on, they can have a lot on the plate. But one thing sometimes that can get overlooked of what someone can do when it comes to navigating emotional roller coaster is taking care of themselves. And even though I say taking care of themselves, I am talking about it can be as simple as squeezing your muscles. Yeah. And I share, what in the world are you talking about, lady? Because when it comes to your stress, when it comes to being emotionally overwhelmed, emotionally roller coaster, it impacts your body. And to be honest, your body tightens up. Sometimes you may freeze. And even when you freeze, it's tightening up your muscles. So, you individuals who are caregivers, you can literally, let's just say you can squeeze your hands. Squeezing your hands can be very beneficial. You can raise your hands up. And a lot of times, because I know for me, mine was in my shoulder. I did some movement, but not enough. But at the same time, it was a whole lot over a period of time that was going on. So you can squeeze. Count to a count of 10, release, and then squeeze. And what I would suggest or encourage you to squeeze different parts of your muscles, squeeze your feet, you know, and move on up and then move on down, because of the fact it helps release all of that tension. Because when you are tensed up, it pretty much is wear and tear on your body. And again, we want you to be well so that you can continue to care for your loved ones, but then also so that you can continue with whatever your calling is, whatever it is that is your next chapter, your next step, that you can be here well and energized. Because it's important for caregivers to take care of themselves. And especially if you are an entrepreneur who's a caregiver too. Oh, yeah. Again, remember to squeeze, 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 and then release. So that is something that you can do. Now, when it comes to executives and wellness, experts in the workplace, you mean I was like, hey, did you squeeze today? That may not be something that you may say. However, there are ways of getting around that when it comes to certain conversation. This is the human side of showing your employees that you care. And for anyone who wants, I would say, some guidance when it comes to that, contact me on LinkedIn, message me, and we can set up an appointment to see of how I can assist you with that. For everyone else, if you are an entrepreneur or an executive who are a caregiver, because we are honoring caregivers this month, I would invite you to my Fortitude Free Circle, because in that circle is a circle in which it helps executives and entrepreneurs to sustain your sanity, thrive under pressure, and to supercharge your self-care. Because when we lack in supercharging our self-care, we're not able to really to be our true authentic self and to really show up. And to be honest, y'all, we need support. We need reminders to take care of ourselves. Because for most of us, some of us are not naturally inclined to do that. And so it is so important so that it can help, again, with the emotional roller coaster of being a caregiver, because it happens. It really does. And even if mentally you may not feel that way, most of the time your body does. It really does. So for any of you who want to learn more of how you can take care of yourself as an entrepreneur and as a executive, come inside the circle. And you can comment circle, and depends on where you are, there may be a link so that you can be taken care of. And so I will see you next time for the next series of Caring for Caregivers.